So let's continue. So in the notes, by the way, I use this little corollary to compute this entry, it's for fun, using 3 instead of 5 summons. I don't know if it's very interesting. So you can look at it, but let's not do it just for fun. So you can save 2 summons using this corollary, but actually what you save is exponentially many. It saves from Catalan to n, so it will be more pressing when n is large, not 3, but I have it in the notes and you can look at it if you want. Good, so now we want to talk about, finally, what is 13? The Mobius function on NC. So, you will do partitions, I think, or you did? You didn't do. Homework, oh wow, good luck to you all. So, you will do, you will compute the Mobius function for partitions. I saw that in the homework you said you should follow the proof of something. So I thought you did something. From this. Good. So you should listen. Good. It's the solution to the homework. Good. So here we are going to do the Mobius function on NC. It's harder than the Mobius function, like quite harder than Mobius function of partitions. So I'm doing the hard part and you follow. But on the way, we are going to get a bonus that I couldn't keep it out. It's impossible. I should keep it out, but I couldn't. So first of all, here is a neat proposition. I'm not going to prove it. It's obvious. You can think of it as an exercise, but don't submit it. No one ask. So if you have a Mobius of a product of posets, then what I claim is that it's the product of the Mobiuses. It's kind of obvious. It's like a tensor really. But let me be precise. So if you have P and Q are posets, then P times Q, has tuples like that, pairs like that. So you can ask what's the mu of this, that, where this is smaller or equal than that. Right? That's what you usually, otherwise it's 0 or undefined, the way you like it. And that smaller or equal than that means that P1 is smaller or equal than P2 and Q1 is smaller or equal than Q2. Then it is indeed what you would think. Right, so P1 is smaller than P2 or equal, it makes sense. If you like the undefined version or the 0 version, it doesn't matter. That holds. It's very easy to prove. Now, before doing the Mobius function on NC, this is the bonus. Let's do Mobius function on, because I think I'm kind of kidding, because I think seeing that really gives you the analog. You will see that, and then you'll have in place the analog to what happens in NC. So you see that the primes are actually the NCs and so forth. So you'll see that, but let's do that first. So what we are considering is, this poset or really lattice, right, with divisibility. And what I want to do is to compute mu of mn for every m that divides n, smaller or equal than n. Right, that's what you should do if you want to compute Mobius of that. And I'm not going to put anything here. I'm going to give it a respect. This is the D-Mobius function. Okay. So the first thing to note is that this interval, right, really all numbers that are divisible by m and divide n, is isomorphic to what? To 1 comma what? N over n, right? M divides n because it's smaller in the sense of divisibility. And really, every number here, you divide by n, you get a number here, it's order preserving, everything's fine. And therefore, I think I said last time that if you have isomorphism, mu respects that, because mu only cares about the structure, not the names. So isomorphism is fine. So if you want to compute that, it's the same thing as this phi. Okay. So let's just compute mu of 1 comma n. Let's rename it to be n, and let's compute mu 1 comma n. So what is mu 1 comma n? We know what's the answer, by the way. I just remind you. I don't know. It's like you take n, you look at its prime factors. If one of them repeats, it's 0. So it's going to be non-zero only if every prime appears once. And in that case, it's -1 to the number of prime factors. And I claim it follows immediately, right? And it's nice to see this. So let's see. So let's take n. And a similar process is going to happen for non-crossing. So there we're going to have a pi, whatever. But let's take n and factorize it. Later we're going to factorize the interval like we did before. So when you factorize n, it looks like that, where the EIs are at least 1, otherwise don't write it. Right? And then what I claim before that, I claim that, and that's the point, that this lattice is isomorphic to the lattice where you have, how did I write it? Like that. So this lattice, which is kind of, weird numbers divide each other, is actually isomorphic to the lattice, which only encodes which powers do you have. You don't really need the primes. The primes are kind of fixed. Exactly, good. Great. And this lattice, so this is just the number 0, 1, 2, up to E1. E1 is at least 1, with the usual, like the chain lattice. Right? Because every two numbers here are of this form where the exponents are just smaller or equal than the EIs. So numbers can be bijected, obviously, in the set theoretic level, but also the order is preserved, right? If you take two numbers here, such that one of them is smaller than the other, namely divides the other, it means that this list is smaller or equal than the corresponding list of the other. So it really is isomorphic, not just in a bijection, but really as an order-preserving bijection. And these are chains, exactly as Yuval said. Usual chains. So this means that mu of 1n is just mu of a chain, let's write it C, mu of chain, of, 0, E1, or there are no, we just put the two. 0, E1 times, like as a number, mu of 0, ER. This is the chain, this is the mu of chains, and we talked the last hour, and also Gal talked about it, what is mu of chains? Like mu of a chain, given these two numbers, if they are equal, it's 1. If they are different by 1, it's -1, and otherwise it's 0. Right? So that's great, because E1 is at least 1. So because otherwise the prime wouldn't appear here, and we start with 0. So if E1, if there is a I such that EI is strictly larger than 1, it's 0. Good. So this thing is 0 if there exists an I such that EI is larger than 1. And otherwise, otherwise all of them are 1, so this is 0, this is 1, you get -1, and you multiply it with itself R times. That's how you can get it. Pretty cool, I think. I don't know how you usually get it. I don't remember it was like that. Okay, so now let's go to the Mobius function on NC, which is what we really care about, but you should keep that in mind, because we did things here that we'll do the analog thing there. Like we started with an interval. Here we first kind of had this thing where we reduced it to this form, but it was just for convenience, so don't look at this stage. We have this interval and we factor the interval. Factoring the interval is really, if you don't go through this stage, is really taking all of these where the EIs are not between 0 and the EI of n, but it's between the EI of m and the EI of n. Like how many times P appears here versus how many times P appears there. So we use the factorization here, right? We use that in order, the answer at the end depends on the factorization, and also the proof used the factorization. We are going to do the same thing for NC, because remember that we can also factor interval in NC using the Kreveresh complement. Okay. Good. It's not, we know that we can factor. We don't need to remember how we do it, but there is a factorization and it's unique. Okay, so what's your guess about the Mobius function of NC? So let me be more clear actually what I mean by that, because it's a whole matrix. So I only care about the last entry. So denote the Mobius function of NCN by mu n, right? So it takes something in NCN times something in NCN to some complex number. It's always a natural like element in Z, but integer, but you know. And also let's denote. So that's a matrix, you know. I want numbers. So let's denote Sn to be Mn of 0, 1. Right? The smallest to the largest. Like it's in the matrices, it's the right left top corner. Like the 2 that we had before. Right? So we actually saw that, you know, S1 is 1. There's nothing like it's just it is what it is. S2 is, by the way, what is S2? -1, good. Because it's a lattice like that. And this is a cover. I'll use this for the cover. It's immediately after that one. And we know that the modulus of is, you know, if this is 1, this is going to be -1. And we did S3, which happened to be 2. And what I claim is that it's really enough to compute the SIs. If you want to compute Mobius in general, once you know all of these values, it's not so difficult to do. It's like, so what do I mean? So really, if you want to compute mu of, you know, whatever, pi sigma, and you only have access to these values, then you're okay, because what you can do? Exactly. So you factor, like we did for the numbers here. So really what happened here is that you only consider primes at the end. So we factor pi sigma. You see, these are the primes in a sense. Right, we said, we actually half proved it, but we said that every interval can be, I mean, that we proved, can be written like that. We had an algorithm. But what we didn't prove was that it's unique. I mean, the K1 up to Kn are unique. The K1 can't really be unique. It's like a 1. It's not a prime. It's kind of doesn't affect anything. So you can add K1s and don't know about it. But up to K1, every other one is unique. So when I say factorize, I mean, you and I will get the same answer. And anyhow, once you have that, because of the proposition that we didn't prove, we get that this is S1 to the K1 times Sn to the K. Because it's a product, and this is also product. There's many products. Right. Good. It always be the same. Yeah, because that's a determined value. In a sense, it's there is some uniqueness about it because of that, right? But yeah. So I wonder if that is enough to prove uniqueness. Not sure. Yeah, interesting. Good. Anyhow, but S1 is 1, by the way, so you see it doesn't give you anything. Yeah, no, I think that S2 is a problem because it's only -1 and you can take some other thing, switch. Right, so it's not enough. But it is unique. Good, so let's compute Sns. And by the way, this is going to be the recurrent theme. So we are going to have, we are going to like to have some information about the interval. And what we are going to do is to say, well, our function is nice. So mu is a nice function because mu of the interval is determined by the mu of the component factor in the interval. Not every function is like that. But functions that are like that are nice. We're going to call them multiplicative. But so mu is a multiplicative function because mu of the interval, in order to know the answer, it's enough to know the answer to all the kind of primes. Factor this to the primes, and then use your information about the primes together with the factorization to get the answer. Good. So let's compute the Sns. Now here comes the fun part. So, any guess about what Sn should be? Right. There's only one thing that's free. He's like one Italian Catalan. Yeah. Up to the science. Right? And also there is a weird shift, like this is C2 and not C3. But other than that, think that works. Okay, you can see it here, like S0, and this is C0, this is C1, this is C2, up to the signs, and the signs are like that. But let's prove this. So it's a nice proof because it uses the omega machinery. So what did we prove? Just as a reminder, let's put it here. We proved that the sum for any omega not equal to 0 in any lattice, but we're going to look at another crossing one. So if you sum over all pi such that pi join omega is 1, this thing, this is 1 now, and when you sum u0 pi, you get what? 0. That's the only other answer. Right, and because pi, which is this thing, is one of the summons, it's a way of figuring it out. Because it's one of the summons, you know the summon 0, you take it to the other side, and you get the answer. Of course, the answer depends on the other thing, so it will lead to recursion. So we need to choose omega nicely. So if you choose omega to be this thing, you did nothing. Because when you need to go over all possible pi's, you have Catalan many numbers that you need to add up and see what happens. You won't be able to do this. So you need to choose omega smartly. And I'm going to assume forward, by the way, that n is at least 4, okay? Because we know the first 3 values, and I'm going to have like n minus 1s or stuff, so maybe like there is a segmentation fault or something, but n is at least 4, so that's fine. So the trick is to choose the omega in a smart way. So this is going to be omega. It's very close to 0, which is good, because as omega is smaller, when you have less summons. We see you have this n minus 2. I don't know if so n is at least 4 and everything's fine. So this is my omega. Okay, so that's a smart thing to do. Okay, so we chose omega, and now we just need to answer the question: which are the pi's joining with omega that gives you this thing? It's a fun exercise, but let me just do it for you because we don't have so much time. So I actually call it pi 0 in the notes. I should call it pi r. So let's be systematic about finding all solution to pi, to the all solutions pi such that this holds. So you see, and let me just even to consider, just it will be easier to see it if n is like 6, something that you can see immediately what happens, and then generalize. So let's say this is n is 6, this is omega. Of course, I could choose any, well, I don't know. So let's see. So let me tell you what is my pi 6 first. They're going to be 6 pi. My pi 6 first. So pi 6, so I mean, you want the join of this, you want the join of what I'm going to write here, and that to be the all ones. So you need to connect these to 5 and 6. If you have a pi in which some of them are not in the same part as 5 and 6, the join won't do that for you. Like the join will still have that part not connected to 5 and 6. So let's look at 1. But in the partitions case, there is a different answer. But let's look at 1. Now it's non-crossing partition. So 1, it has several options. It has to be connected to 5 or 6, because otherwise it won't be there in the join. So let's say that 1 is connected to 5. So let's consider first this case. Okay, so all the pi's for which 1 and 5 are together. And in such case, because of the non-crossing, what's going to happen? I mean, so 2. It has to be connected to 5 or to 6 also. Right. It has to be connected, which is like that when you draw it. And also that, and that. And what happens to 6? Like left lonely like that. Right, and once I decided that 1 is connected to 5, because this is 1, the order is important. Because this is 1, it constrained all of these to also be connected to 5. And then 6, okay. If I'm requiring 1 to be connected to 5 and not to 6, then that's the case. If I'm requiring, there are two solutions actually when 1 is connected to 5. Maybe it's connected to 5 and to 6. Actually, that's what I meant by pi 6, sorry. But the other solution is connected to 5, and then it's not, and then there are 2 options, so that's the second option. It's not connected to 6. Good. So that's pi 6, that will be pi 5. I'm going to write the general formula in a second. So let's continue. So kind of we are done with the case that 1 is connected to 5. Either it's connected to 6 or not, I don't know, but there are no options in which 1 is connected to 5. So 1 is not connected to 5 in all the other solutions. So I'm going to call it pi 4, and 1 is not going to be connected to 5. So let's assume it's connected to 4. That's why I call it pi 4. It's the smallest one it's connected to. So let's say I'm connected to 4. Sorry. It's connected to 6. Sorry, now I'm looking at 2. My bad. So 2, again, it has two options. Either it's connected to 6 or 5. If it's connected to 5, exactly, no options. Right, once the small one decide to join the small one, all the middle one has to go there as well. So this is when 2 is connected to 4. I mean, it's not really important, but that's. And then there's another case in which it's connected to, and that's the only case. I mean. So the other option is that 2 is connected to 6. It looks like that. And then it's again the same question, but we have 3 now. So the 3 has the option of either to connect to 5, which require 4 to connect to 5, or what should I do? Or, I mean, anyhow, you got it, right? Or is connected here, and then you have these two. And then there's another one in which all of them are connected. He's kind of alone, and that's it. Right, so these are the only options. Essentially, probably you can do it better. But essentially, you have n options according to which is the smallest one, which is the largest one, which connect to 5 or something like that. Let me write all the options like in a one line. In the notes, I separated to 2 cases, and it was not required. I don't know why I did it. I mean, I know why I did it, but it's not a good excuse. So really, all the solutions are of the form pi k, where k goes from, you have 2 parts, you only have 2 parts, because some of them, at most 2 parts. One of them have to connect to 5 and another to 6. You can't have 3 parts, because one of them won't be connected to 5 or 6. So if you are okay with 3 dots, if you interpret them correctly, it works from 1 to n. If you don't interpret it correctly, it works from 3 to n or something. So let's see what I mean. So it looks like that. Let me draw it. I think the drawing is here. So pi k looks like that. 1 up to k minus 1 and n are connected. Like we had here, for example. This is interesting. 1, 2, and kn are connected. And then the rest are connected later. This is k and this is n minus 1. Right? We just need to be careful a little bit about when you write it like that. For example, when k equals 1, what does this mean? It means nothing. It means like there is nothing here. Okay? It's not like 1 and then 0. It's nothing. And then it's only n. And the rest are from 1 to n minus 1. So it's this one. That by itself, and the rest are together. I mean, but that works for every. Also here, when k is n, what does this mean? When k is n, this is empty. And so here you have everything. And that's the one part partition that I should have been at the beginning. So everything is fine. It's like it works for all cases, and it looks like that. And so, okay, so what? What's good about this? So now let's use this equation that we have. So we know that 0 is going to be this sum. And now we know that we're summing from k equals 1 to n, because we figure out all the solutions to this equation. Again, only n solutions rather than Catalan many solutions. So n solutions, and you have mu of this thing. 0 this thing. Like this is the pi k. Okay, so how should we proceed? I mean, what can you tell me about the interval 0 pi k? Exactly. To what? Right. So you have NCK times NCN minus K. Right? It looks very much like Catalan. Right? Because again, every partition here, everything is the non-crossing set. Every non-crossing partition here, I mean, it induces the non-crossing. Every non-crossing partition here is obtained by, specifying a non-crossing partition of length K and using it here, and a non-crossing partition of length N minus K and using it here. Right? That's all the partitions, non-crossing partitions that are below this thing. Good. So what does that tell us? So you have K goes from 1 to N, and then we know that mu of the interval, mu of 0 pi K is like the mu of this times the mu of that. Exactly. Exactly. Now, when K is one of them, N, thanks. When K is N, you get, in K and N, you get what you want. You get pi, you get Sn. Because you see it here, but I actually looked here. You have the one partition. So really, from this it follows that, let me write it like that. 0 is Sn plus the sum. I did nothing, this thing here. And for me, it's just a little bit of calculation that I can do, but it's really boring and not worth doing. But let me just tell you what you do. You just define tk to be, there are the signs. So tk is minus 1 to the n plus 1. So you plug this in, you look, you see that you get a Catalan for the tk, and then it means that the s are the minus 1 to whatever the Catalan one is. So I'm not going to do it. It appears in the note, but it's just a trivial calculation. Really, the important part is that using this omega, all the pi's got this form of something that induces a Catalan kind of answer, which is really nice.